Being home alone can be a time for solitude and relaxation, but for some, it can turn into a nightmare. When the quiet of an empty house is interrupted by strange noises or unsettling events, the sense of security you once had can disappear in an instant. These 6 true stories of terrifying home alone experiences will leave you on edge and questioning every creak and shadow in your home. Story 1. The breathing in the attic. Emily had always been a bit uneasy about staying home alone, especially after her family moved into an old house with creaky floors and unfamiliar noises. One night, her parents went out for dinner, leaving her by herself. At first, everything was normal. She settled on the couch to watch TV, trying to ignore the occasional groan from the house as it settled. But as the night wore on, she started to hear something strange, soft, rhythmic breathing coming from above. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but it persisted. She turned off the TV, straining to listen. The breathing was definitely coming from the attic. Terrified, Emily grabbed her phone and called her dad. He told her to stay calm and that it was probably just the house making noises. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was up there. Her dad rushed home and immediately went to check the attic. When he opened the door, the stale smell of dust greeted him and everything seemed in order. But then, as he moved further in, he found something chilling. A small makeshift bed, hidden behind some boxes, along with wrappers from food. Someone had been living in their attic, silently watching the family for who knows how long. Story 2. The stranger in the basement. Jacob's parents had gone away for the weekend, leaving him in charge of the house. He spent most of the evening playing video games, not paying much attention to his environment. But then, around midnight, he heard a soft knocking sound. He paused the game and listened, but the sound stopped. Thinking nothing of it, he resumed playing. A little while later, the knocking returned, this time louder and more persistent. It was coming from the basement. Jacob's heart raced as he realized he hadn't checked the basement before his parents left. Grabbing a flashlight, he crept downstairs, his hands trembling. When he reached the bottom, the knocking stopped. He scanned the basement with the flashlight, but everything seemed normal. Just as he was about to leave, he heard a voice, a low whisper, coming from the corner of the room. The beam of his flashlight revealed something that made his blood run cold. A figure crouching in the shadows, staring right at him. Jacob ran upstairs, locking the door behind him. He called the police, who arrived shortly after. They found that the basement window had been forced open, and the intruder had been hiding down there for hours, waiting for the right moment to strike. Story 3. The face at the window. Laura lived in a quiet suburban neighborhood where nothing out of the ordinary ever happened. One evening, she decided to stay home while her parents went out. The house was peaceful, and she enjoyed the quiet. As the night progressed, she curled up with a book on the living room couch. Suddenly, she felt as though someone was watching her. She brushed it off as paranoia, but the feeling only intensified. Laura glanced out the window, expecting to see the familiar street, but what she saw instead froze her in place, a pale, gaunt face staring back at her from the darkness. She jumped up, heart pounding, and immediately closed the curtains. For the next few minutes, she sat in silence, trying to convince herself it was just a trick of the light. But then came the tapping, a light, insistent tapping on the glass. She knew she couldn't ignore it any longer. She called her parents, barely able to get the words out through her fear. When her parents arrived home, they found no one outside, but muddy footprints leading away from the window told a different story. Someone had been there, watching her the entire time. Story 4. The Locked Door. Megan was staying home alone one weekend while her parents went out of town. It was her first time being alone for more than a few hours, but she felt confident. After a day of running errands, she came home, locked the door, and settled in for the night. Hours later, while Megan was watching TV, she heard the unmistakable sound of a door closing. The house only had 2 doors, the front and the back, both of which she had locked. Her stomach dropped. She grabbed her phone and tiptoed towards the front door, trying to stay quiet. But when she reached it, her worst fear was realized. The door was unlocked. Convinced that someone was inside, Megan grabbed a kitchen knife and called the police. They arrived within minutes and searched the house from top to bottom, but there was no sign of forced entry or anyone inside. What unnerved her the most, though, was that she distinctly remembered locking that door after coming home. How had it been unlocked? To this day, she doesn't know if someone had been in the house with her, or if something even more sinister was at play. Story 5. The Phantom Footsteps. Tyler was no stranger to being home alone. His parents often worked late, so he spent many evenings by himself. But one night, something happened that he couldn't explain. He had been playing music in his room when he heard faint footsteps coming from the hallway. At first, he thought it was just the sound of the house settling, but the footsteps were too distinct. They were slow and deliberate, getting closer and closer. Tyler froze, his heart pounding in his chest. He grabbed a baseball bat from his closet and cautiously opened the door, expecting to see an intruder. But the hallway was empty. Confused, Tyler walked around the house, checking every room. No one was there. Just as he was about to go back to his room, the footsteps started again, this time right behind him. He spun around, but still saw nothing. For the rest of the night, he couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't alone in the house, even though no one else was there. Story 6. The Broken Window. Late one night, Sarah was home alone, trying to catch up on some work. It was quiet, with only the occasional sound of wind outside. But then, a loud crash shattered the silence. She rushed to the source of the noise and found the living room window broken, shards of glass scattered across the floor. Her heart raced as she realized someone had broken into the house. She grabbed her phone to call 911, but as she turned around, she caught a glimpse of movement in the corner of her eye. A shadow darted out of sight, disappearing down the hallway. Sarah locked herself in her bedroom, frantically trying to stay quiet as she heard footsteps moving around the house. She prayed the police would arrive before whoever had broken in found her. When they finally arrived, they searched the house but found no one. The back door was wide open, and the intruder had vanished into the night. Though she was unharmed, the experience left her shaken. To this day, she can't stay home alone without reliving that night. These 6 true Home Alone horror stories remind us how quickly a sense of safety can disappear. Whether it's a stranger lurking outside or something far more mysterious, the quiet of an empty house can sometimes hide unspeakable terror. So if you like these stories, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment with your thoughts. Thanks for watching and good night.